you know.
Okay. So, Sarah, welcome to my first Luminous Path conversation. I'm so delighted to have you here. And we met a few years ago online, and we've been in contact since then. And then we did some offerings in Europe. And when I met you, I just felt, that I've known you for a long time, and that your medicine is very powerful and strong, and we have a similar kind of mission, but expressed in different ways. You have a very fierce energy, that fiery, strong, which is really beautiful. I really felt your medicine working with you, and we also, in our conversations together, we've spoken a lot about the collective and how to move from the individual kind of will into the collective service. This conversation is more of an exploration of your path and your awakening of the feminine and masculine within yourself, and finding that divine balance and your work in the world, and also part of your soul, like soul purpose and what you're here to do and offer in your journey. So I'm so happy to have you here. And you are in Holland right now?
Yes,
Yes.
I'm in Amsterdam right now.
Amsterdam.
Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're born and raised in Amsterdam, right?
I'm actually born in. I was born in the north of Holland in a place called Groningen.
Mm.
Um, so that's 2 hours away from here, which is really far in Holland. So all the way in the north, and I grew up there, partly city, partly countryside, and then when I was 17, started traveling as a model. When I was 21, moved to Amsterdam.
Mm.
So it's been some years here, but I'm not from here now.
No, but it feels like you're home for now.
It does,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I know your both parents are psychologists, right? Um, and when did you have your kind of awakening out of the matrix into the more,
Mm.
mm, what to say, the beyond the veil kind of
Yeah.
knowing?
Mm. Wow, I just love how you drop in with this question. You're like, fuck it, let's just go. Yeah. And I just want to say thank you for the introduction. And I feel very similar. I think it's really rare to click like that with someone and to be, different expressions, some link and some different on a very similar view and path. And it's just such a blessing to re-meet these ancient soul connections.
Mm.
I really appreciate that. And yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So no, say.
Well, it feels like we're both here meant to remember and do the work for the collective. Like we're coming back around, and we're like,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, exactly. And our journey has been very similar. Coming back to what you just asked, from being from like the north or western part of Europe, and deep into the modeling journey, and then kind of finding your way back to soul and to this path, right?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think I always had an opening to the other side, say, as always when I was really small.
Mm.
And like as far as I can remember, I was always asking about like God and the universe and how everything works, and I was always attracted to like certain symbols, like little yin yang symbols, and like burning sage in my little room and stuff like that. And my parents said there was none of those things I was taught. That was something that I just was drawn to as a girl. And same as like, yeah, witchcraft and just all of those things.
Mm.
but I did lose it for a long time. And so my parents are psychologists, and or they worked in those fields, and my mom was also an EMDR trauma therapist, and just like really amazing people, like light workers in their own way. It's the same thing, they're just working to be of service. And I learned so much from that, through my parents, and through to that it's really important to find work that is really in alignment with yourself. That was always really important, and also to help others, and like and just an interest in the well-being of other people, or people who have perhaps have hard times. And I learned so much about psychology and how people work, and I think that it was so much our table talk that it was kind of a little bit annoying for me. There are always kids in our house, always this thing. But now looking back, I know it was a perfect alignment. It's exactly the base that I needed to be doing what I'm doing now. So I really have that base. I'm a very stable family, and like my parents are very like emotionally powerful people, and very stable, balanced, loving, have a good relationship. And I was a really wild soul, very fiery, very rebellious. It's like, you're not my parents, you don't raise me. And just like, I didn't allow touch my whole life. I was just like so independent and so much in my own thing. I mean, my mom did say I was also a sweet kid, but I was definitely, it's also kind of human design manifestor energy. I was just really in my own kind of ways. So I think, but because they're atheists, and there wasn't really space for that other world, I just kind of lost that, just forgot about that, because I was told that those things were not true. And then I guess, when I started to travel as a model again, like 17, and it's like those first years, I started to be really interested in like religion, quite obsessive with like Christianity, Judaism. I studied at like Kabbalah University. I did, thought I was a Buddhist for a while. I went to like gospel church, like really like full on stuff. My parents loved that. And but that's me in some ways. I just like immerse myself into things. And then so I think I just started to be interested again in like things like yoga and meditation, and I don't know, like crystals. Just I don't want to just I think how a lot of people kind of move into that space in a very gentle way. And I think because due to just modeling, and like also the trauma I got from that, and like years of just feeling so out of my body and disembodied and not in my body, just a yearning for another way of living, another way of feeling, another way of perceiving beauty, wanting deeper layers of life became so strong. And then just that yearning, and also the pain in my body. I also got quite sick, and I had anxiety after a while. We'll need that kind of dark night of the soul to actually wake up to who we are. And that's where it really started to open up, and that was about mid-20s. And I started to reconnect the dots, that like anything I think is relating to my body. Anything I feel has effect on everything. Like, wow, everything's, you start to see connection again in life. And I think that's one of the biggest ways of waking up, is like the illusion that things are separate, the illusion that the things aren't all interconnected and all have effect on each other. I think it started with that. And I think that's when it started.
So beautiful. As if you few things, like this searching in different, or exploring different like vessels of spirituality, or like the Buddhist path, the gospel, like the and was it a specific moment when you had kind of a shift in consciousness, or was it more like a gradual opening of these different connections, starting to just create a new pattern, or new, remembering?
There were little bits. It was gradual. It was gradual. I think I was just finding God, in all of these. It was definitely gradual. I do think that being so sick and like kind of burned out at a young age was a big shift for me. I think another shift was not long ago. It was like 2 years ago. That was another one. Like I think I really opened up to this path after that, like about like stepping into my power and starting to work a lot with the plant medicine, especially with ayahuasca. I was a big ally of mine, and also with feminine embodiment. Those were my big, like where I really found me. And healed a lot of that. But I think my biggest shift was, I think a huge shift was 2 years ago. And I told you a little bit about that when I, let me see what I can, just like a short, I don't really want to go into that fully, but I think I fell in love with someone in this field who wasn't the right one to open your whole being to, And what I learned, and that was a very ended up being like an abusive situation. And that woke me up, because I had this, suddenly after that, it was as if when I snapped out of the idea of like, that the spiritual world, or even the world, especially spiritual world, is only full of like beings of light. I had to like fully snap out of that and see also just the reality of it, and also the darkness of it, and to start to really see. And when I did that, I started to see all the layers from the matrix, like every, when you move one part of your being, right? You move one part, or you expand one part of your being. For instance, you get better with boundaries with a friend. You start to do that, and then suddenly, your frequency just expands. I think something like that happened, and through that, it's as if I just like saw everything like restructured. Everything fell apart and it fell back into place, and it was a whole different way of seeing, and of these two worlds merging, and seeing through all the corrupt systems, and opening up to the multidimensional. That was a huge shift in that, for sure.
It sounds like an initiation of sorts, and I can see even like from the post that you posted, and now it's like you have it's a different depth there. It's almost like you've been talking about that yourself, like moving into, or accepting and exploring the darker feminine and the power there in the feminine, and that fierceness, and really like anchored into the core essence of the feminine, and maybe like moving from maiden to mother, or like the more mother archetype that holds a bigger space than that, in a sense that I think also we from modeling have kind of reinforced a lot. Like it's like, don't be needy, or like don't have boundaries, and be happy and smiley and welcoming and playful, and like that innocence, and that kind of lightness. I feel in that modeling world is very much appreciated.
I feel like it's very appreciated in the modeling world. Like, use me, I'll do anything. But I feel like because the modeling world is such a magnifying glass of a lot of other things that happen in the world, for other women as well, how they perceive their body, how they act in the working environment as well, right? So it's just a very it's quite a wounded structure, right? Business, it's high up there with like, there's some clients we can work with, they're really nice, and it's not all shit, but if you look at the core of it and what it stands for, it's like pure patriarchal, like, it's really harsh, and it's really a system that's birthed from that place, right? And with that comes like, as you said, the light feminine, or the nice girl is very appreciated, very appreciated, the nice girl, and like the codependent, or the over empathizing, and not having strong boundaries, not being discerning, and the boundaries and the discernment is your masculine, so when I grew more into my darker feminine, or even that strong mother, my masculine became much more solid as well, and that's still work for me. It's still work for me to not shrivel sometimes, to claim space, or to speak my truth, and still do it kindly, but to really trust my dreams, trust my intuitions, trust what comes through, and actually follow up on that. That's been, my biggest invitations these past years, for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I've been tuning into, the creative force, and if you're not acting in these moments of inspiration, like this creative force will either create or break things down.
Yeah.
So if you're not following it, it can go really into the negativity. I've noticed that with myself when I'm not following the call, or these inspirations or intuitions telling me where to go, where to be, or what to do, what to create. It turns inwards, and it's like breaking down. That energy needs to move, and I think it can also, like that, and we've been talking about that too, but like the feminine, like what is the feminine, who is she? Because it's been so almost like we've been almost having a mental idea, even the feminine and all these women's groups and this and that, is almost like she needs to be rediscovered in the unknown. Like, we have to have the courage to go into the unknown and let her flourish, instead of having this mental idea about who we think she is. And I mean, I've been noticing that within myself. Like, it's scary because it feels so powerful. It's like it's a force on its own. And from our conversations too, I feel like you've been brave enough to like open to that wild feminine, like that wild expression of her, and you're helping a lot of other women actually getting in contact with that, and having the courage to go there themselves, because it's going to look very uniquely in each woman. Like, that medicine of the feminine will look very different. And also what you said with the masculine, like I noticed that I was kind of going into the shadow of the feminine, just like full surrender. But if you don't have the pillar of the masculine, it's like nothing containing that energy, and it can be very like, can turn into more like a victim, or more of just this stillness. But like that has like, I feel like it needs to flow and it wants to be alive, and I felt like it could become a little more dead if it doesn't have the help of the masculine containing it and guiding this energy as well. So it's like so important to meet both, and when we step into one, hopefully the other part will like come into more divine expression as well.
Exactly. Yeah. That's it. If you change, or let's say if you open up one, because it's all parts of us. If we ignite one part, it will automatically rebalance the opposite part. So if we go more in a feminine energy, more darker feminine energy, that rebalance like the wounded masculine energy, basically. So it all has that effect for sure, and it's all about the right balance and starting to flow between what's needed and what's the most loving expression in the moment. Right. Yeah. And I also love what you say about surrender. Surrender. Oh, it's just like such an incredible. There's like this energy of receiving, of opening, of allowing. It's so feminine. And I also made the mistake. It's all good, right? With
learn.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, surrender. Like, like, I was always in this like raw feminine. I thought feminist. I was just like fighting or surviving or striving in life. And then I was like, oh, it's feminine surrender. And I just like, it's like going on a first date and someone, and then just losing all your masculine and just kind of like letting that go. So I think, we all have done that at some point where yes, you surrender, but also too quick. You surrender too quick and you forget your own discernment, your own safety, your own masculine in that way. And I noticed that with clients too. If I work a lot with the feminine, after a couple of weeks, I'm like, can we do some more masculine? Because it's just like, I never just work with that because it's so needed, especially if you're going into that bigger energy.
Yeah.
The kind of like primordial mother. And I really love how you spoke about that. I really felt it, like it resonated a lot, of the true feminine, Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, I mean, I feel on my own journey, like, it's like sometimes I was quite a lot in the masculine when I was modeling and so forth. And very much like just in the doing, but kind of not the divine masculine, but more the, I don't know, abandoned masculine or so. And then I had this moment of being a few years in kind of a more surrendered, just like the dissolution of self and the restructuring of all the ideas and borders, and really going into the unknown or the dark night of the soul too. And then moving into the more like feminine waters, but not really knowing her fully. So feeling quite lost there, and like, but maybe going into almost like the edge of her, what I think in my mind then is like another edge that where you have to jump and you have to just let yourself into the unknown, where I feel like I'm actually now on that kind of edge of like the jump wants to happen, but I know I can't, small self can't do that jump. It's like the bigger self have to let the small self know when it's ready. So, and which is also a lot of patience, and like the journey is, we know also, is so much about like, we can't, with your initiation like 2 years ago, you didn't make that happen. Like it came from, like, you created that on a deeper level, but we meet those parts that we need to meet, and when timing is right and when we are ready to face that. Like you were ready to meet some really like deep layers within your own psyche, body and spirit. So it's really,
yes, I feel that with you, and I'm really excited. I know it's like this kind of, it feels like things are moving or shaking a bit, and and it's like a change coming, and you don't know exactly which way, and it's like you just have to try and go as gracefully as you can. In that next opening. But I feel it in my body before, and I'm like, oh gosh, here we go. Where to go, and then it takes you at some point.
Yeah. Yeah, how are you with like the embodiment work? Because we've been speaking about that too, like to really anchor things in the body and in the a lot of people are speaking now about embodiment and this and that, but what is that really? Like
Yeah.
when does it sink into the body and what is the work there to
Mm.
kind of let these more, I don't know, higher teachings in, yeah, what to say, yeah, anchor into the body.
Yeah. Yeah, embodiment. There's so many layers to this, right? Why embodiment's so important and why I work with it so much. It's there's a very basic form of embodiment that's just trauma work. It's just coming back into your body. That's a really basic part of embodiment is feeling safe in our body again. Going out of the only the mind space and sinking back into our body vessel, right? It's very, very grounding work. Um, and that's a lot of trauma work with that, because the moments where we have felt unsafe and unloved and unbelonged and unseen, those are the moments that we disembody, because our whole nervous system goes, don't feel that, don't go there, right? So those are, and then you teach your nervous system it's not safe to feel those things, and we disembody basically. So that's where trauma is rooted. That's where codependency stems from. It's a little bit of the same, like little pockets. It's trauma. It's in shamanism, you call it like a soul retrieval. Like little parts of your soul get stuck in the past, basically. So that's the start of embodiments. Is really to feel and see all the parts that you haven't before. And the beautiful thing is that you don't have to speak about it so much. We can, and it can help, because we're also rational people, and I love that part too, and I know you do too. But embodiment can help you to release those energy pockets, basically, that are stuck in your body, and by the releasing of that, opening up space for new beliefs, right? Or new truths, new systems in your body, new neurowave, new brain connections even. So it's like a rewiring of the nervous system. So that's a very grounded way of why I work with somatic practices and with embodiment so much, right?
Yeah.
And then the other part is really because if especially as a feminine being, our power is in our erotic body, is in our pleasure body, is in our sensual body. So and the feminine power is magnetic, right? It's magnetic. We like pull life towards us, and it's through the embodied living of how we want to be abundant, of how we want to open in love, of how we want to walk into the world, of like it's the actual being, embodying of those desires, of those dreams, of the woman we want to be, that actually creates that the resonance for that, the magnetism, so that you can attract those things in your life, right? So that's why feminine embodiment is it's such a huge part of a feminine, also the feminine in men, right? They have the feminine part too, but it just, and I think that's a huge part of also this new paradigms, like the feminine first, like it's like resonance first, right? And there's a part quantum with that, if you want to start putting out that part in. It's like it's about being and embodying those what we long for, and in that way you can start to connect to the quantum as well through the body, right?
The body is such a portal into
the portal,
consciousness, like the clear pure
yeah,
consciousness,
and it's very open, with our consciousness,
and I mean, I know for myself, when I open to that, I feel like it's so magnetic that it's almost like also the lower energies around us, like, or the sexual energies, you know, if you're walking on the street and you have this very deep connection to self and your sensuality and your energy, is like a lot of energy comes
Yeah,
towards you as
definitely.
well, which is
Yeah.
I find it tricky when you're in big cities and stuff too. Like, how do you navigate that opening and really being connected to these very powerful energies without
Mm.
and still be, you know, safe, or still feel like you can fully shine your full light and yet be protected. And I know protection comes from really being in your light, but it's like a little bit of the feminine there is wounded by these energies and have been for many, many generations. So I feel like the feminine is like, ooh, I don't feel really safe to come out fully. So
Yeah, and that's a beautiful and very valid point. And you could say, "Oh, just be your full blown feminine," but you know, then that's the conversation about like, yes, we can work on our own inner masculine, feminine, and the radiance of that, but there has to be the feminine blossoms fully when it's safe. Very simple. It's a safety, right? When
yeah,
she's fully seen and received, and there are so many layers covering that. You can just look in the world that where the feminine feels so unsafe. So you can say, "Oh, just be that full." Well, if there's not really a safety, if men don't, you know, awake with us, and they are, but like there's some work to do, you know, to honor the feminine as sacred and to honor the womb as the center of life, and like really look at women like that and like, wow, you know, like if that's the huge shift that needs to happen, will we be able to be in our sensual and erotic power, which is different from sexual power? That's just a part of that. Just our like sensual resonance and openness, if there's not like full safety. On the other hand, if we don't make those steps, because we hold the bigger energy as feminine beings, you know, masculine overall more awareness or consciousness. I know you have a deep masculine, but like so energy is first, right? So we have to show up embodied and show our aches and our heart and our sensuality as well. So and that energy will start to wake, you know, everyone, also men around us. So it's like I went a bit broader with that, but it's like, how can we, you know, how can you walk that street? How can you walk the street and like um and and just hold the energy of like, I'm a sensual being, and you can kind of turn down the volume a little bit. I know I have to, because I have a big like, you know, sensual energy, and yeah, and it's fine, but it's like there has to, I've had to learn to not misuse that, because you got to take away the kind of using it, or the kind of using it for any seduction, or needing any affirmation from the
yeah,
outside. So if you take those away, and if you just stand in that power, but just learn to play with the volume, I think that's a really beautiful way of working with your kind of erotic field as a woman, or as a feminine being with a feminine core. Yeah.
right. And how do you think, like, on a more broad level, like the awakening of humanity, and like the how is this shift gonna happen? Like, what is, I mean, part of the work is
Yeah.
for us to remember and really show up in our remembrance and show up as these in this deeper awareness that we're touching, and share that with the world. But yeah, because I know we've been having these, you know, talks about like how to, also as women, like how do we come together and celebrate each other and heal the sister wound, and heal these competitions between women and the feminine, like who's most strong in their feminine, or, you know, like it's so many things there to that needs to be um almost like just loved in a way where we as women can like start to come together again, whole and full. And I thought that was so beautiful with you because when we were holding space together, I felt like I can show up in my full feminine, and you're actually bringing that out of me, and not like the hierarchy of like who's the leader and who's, it's like the circular energy instead of the pyramid. And yeah, so I don't know, let's explore like
Yeah.
how this shift in the world now, as many people are speaking about the golden age or the Christ consciousness, returning of the Christ consciousness. And it has so much to do about the feminine awakening, like also the ancient wisdom traditions were talking about it, and we're here right now. So any thoughts
Yeah,
there?
so many thoughts. You know, it's just, yeah. See, we're in Earth school all together. That's how I see it. When I have watched things from afar, I really see it as like Earth school, and we're here to develop our souls, and it's a really dense place where we come to, if you want to, where our souls really, really like speed up our learning process as souls. So that's what we're doing. It's amazing, right? But it's also really dense. It's and dense, meaning that there's still a lot of separation, a lot of fear, a lot of polarity here, right? But that's what we're here for. We're here to remember. We're here to remember when that we are sovereign beings, that we are eternal beings, that we are beings of the heart, and that we do have free will. We're much more powerful than we are, right? So I feel like the remembrance of that, like once you touch that, nothing can touch you, because you've come back to that to the soul self. And I feel no one's better or worse in that journey at all. We just open up more and more in our own time, in our own ways. I think there's many ways to open up to these spaces, but it's like right now what I'm feeling in the world, there's a lot of ache coming up. There's like, in what's happening in Iran, there's like energy crisis, there's a war, we just had this crazy pandemic with so much censorship. It's just like a lot of things happening right now. And I see it as like, okay, all these things are happening, they're like crumbling. And I do think that a lot of our systems are corrupt in their essence. So they're crumbling, and it's like, it's the same what I spoke about when we connected before the session for a minute. It was like, these systems are they're shaking. I don't know if they're fully crumbling, but they're shaking, and it's up to us to acknowledge those things and accept that that's happening and feel through that. And it's fearful when everything is shaking and moving. But then the cracks of light are starting to open again, right? And the systems can adapt or switch or change, right? And it's up to us to I'm not sure if all the systems have to fall for new to emerge again. I think a little bit of both, probably. But how can we shine our light and do things differently from a place of love? That's the whole thing, from a place of love, from the heart, and from a place of alignment, and if everyone celebrates life and honors life by taking on that responsibility for themselves, like then that changes so much. And it's not like the whole world needs to raise an awareness for that to shift. I think it's a small part of people, a small part has to shift, and then I think the frequency changes, so it's all the little bits that we're adding to that. But it has to be acknowledged first, what's happening, so we can actually not stay stuck in that. It's really important, you know, really, really birth anew, you know.
Yeah, so beautiful. And that like supporting life instead of extracting. I think
Exactly.
that's the big shift of like tending
Yeah.
and supporting and loving life. And
Mhm.
that's such a um, symbol of the mother, sustaining life, birthing life, giving life, and nurturing life. And
Yes, and that mother is, sorry, did I just interrupt you?
no,
Okay.
please.
Well, that mother energy is what you spoke about before, like the primordial mother energy, that full, deep, loving energy that is coming through is it is pure creation, pure orgasmic creation. That's what it is in its purest essence.
Yeah, I
Right?
have like
And I
goosebumps.
feel her completely right
Yeah,
now, right? Yeah, yes, she's like
yeah,
fully rising. And it is a mystery. It's complete unknown, but it's like it's everything. It's, you know, so we are opening up to her again, you know, mama, mother.
mm,
and 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 coming back to what we had before, we've been made to feel so fearful of her because it is chaotic and because it is sexual and because it is fierce, and it's like, you know, and it breaks down systems that aren't in alignment, you know, with the path of love. Like it's this
yeah,
strong creative energy that's coming through, and that's why that's been so dimmed, right? Because it right. So if we don't accept her, she's like a tornado or like a volcano, right?
mm,
Um, we really allow her to erupt, and then she's for us, and it's this wildness that's really beautiful, right? That I've learned to embrace again in myself, that I was afraid of before. And
mm,
if we suppress it, it burns us from the inside out. You know, we deem it as bad or scary or uncontrollable, right? But if we let her birth through us, I feel like she's the most healing lava bomb that really shakes the world up, you know?
yeah. Yeah, like she's the one who breaks us free from the chains, and we
Yeah.
might think in the mind like, oh, it's painful and this and that, but it's just burning away what's not true. And she does that too in the world of like the structures that are not for love. Like as a fierce mother will, protect her child for anything that is coming to harm it. It's like, no, we're here to support life. So it will like be super fierce, like Kali, like
Yeah.
take away anything that is not true, anything that is not in integrity, anything that is not for the blooming of life. And
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
and how is like for men, like I'm wondering how is this journey of the inner feminine, how is that medicine for men, for because I feel like we're as women getting more and more in touch with the feminine also as we have more feminine bodies, like our structure is quite in receiving mode to like create life, right? So with men, what is their might that feminine eruption or awakening look in men? Have you thought about that? It's just coming to me now, like
Yes. Um, well, first, outside of them is it's like recognizing that force and that sacredness of like protecting a woman and protecting the feminine and serving the feminine. Like, wow, you know, like I think a lot of men have lost their, you know, purpose. If you look at our society, it's become
mm,
really like, and that's why they go into this kind of like masochistic, like, you know, like pushing, and I'm like, it's like his ego, like this, now I'm something and I'm success, and it's like I get that looking at what the world expect from us, but it's not like real divine masculine energy, right? It's like it loses that real like sense of like a real purpose, a mission, and what you're really here for, and like, and also that you're really here to protect the feminine, which is your woman and your sisters and your mothers, but it's also the earth, and to do that from like a place that is not like forceful and arrogant and dominant, but actually like assertive and with tact and like awareness, right? I think that's the outside feminine, right? To be like, wow, like we're really here to, this is not like some suppression of the feminine because I'm like leading. No, it's like there's such power to that, right? Like an honor to hold the feminine. I think like such beauty of coming back to that. And inside themselves, well, it's really what I see the biggest change. It's still this incredible taboo still on men being really vulnerable and really in their heart, and really us allowing that too. Like it doesn't mean like completely falling apart, but like you can still hold your masculine with that, but like still that kind of real brotherhood, right? And that vulnerability to not be that kind of lone wolf, right? I think there's still so much to gain in our society for that. So it's really the emotional body and allowing that to come through, and then through that to, as one of my teachers says, be the warrior with the soft heart. Like how can you lead from the heart? How can you lead from the feminine first, right? From the mother first, and also do that with your business. You know, like I think my first long-term client was a man who's now a really dear friend of mine. He's like really smart, has like a big blooming business, and he wanted to make his business more conscious. And we worked on like all these beautiful ways of like how to weave like consciousness into his company, and it like blew up, and just it was so beautiful. Like you can adapt systems also from the inside out, you know, and much more magnetic as well. And like, you know, such
and once once you have that, I guess, higher levels of consciousness or awareness, you're not going to be able to do the business the old way. Like you have to kind of adapt into this level of consciousness that you're at into the physical. And I feel like that's such a learning too, because there's not too many people who have done businesses that way, where it's like fully for life, where it's supporting life and not taking or degrade or extracting and about me. It's like, no, it's about a way bigger.
Yes.
It's about Earth. It's about thriving not only for me, but like all people involved, and hopefully even more people.
For sure. And that's when you have consciousness, right? Like awareness of like a bigger picture to everything.
Do you think when, because we talked about that too, and I feel for myself, I'm not so interested in, I mean, I'm doing my own journey right all the time, but I feel my actions really want to come, if I'm only doing it for me, it's not working. Like I'm not interested. It's like the interest is not there. It's not fun. It's no pool. But when it feels like it's a bigger kind of, then I'm getting ignited and so forth. But I must say I'm like finding a way, like how can you be like creating businesses in the world that holds consciousness and holds like the the deeper expressions in myself, where I feel like I am in everyone, and we're all from same kind of source, and I feel like then you don't want to harm anyone, you don't want to extract, you don't want to take from anyone else, because
you're in touch with the family. It's like, like nature's my mother. Why would I? Well, there is such a thing comes up as like social entrepreneurship, or like businesses who don't only work with the how and the what, but the why, and that's really like really important to have those. I mean, there's a lot of dodginess in there as well, because people are attracted to that, so they just like, but there are companies who are doing that in a really beautiful way, and that's also how I see, like, not. Are you still here?
Yeah.
Are you still here?
Yes, I am. You froze for me, but oh, there you are.
I lost you for a second. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm back. So I'm talking about capitalism, like, so in that way, maybe these systems don't always have to fully crumble, but how can you adapt them in a way that, perhaps you can make profit, but also look at like how you are treating, nature and others around you, right? So that could be different systems that come from that. But that all has to do with a shift in awareness, a shift in consciousness. Once you're conscious, it's about certain things. It's very hard to keep on doing similar things. Right?
Yeah. I'm speaking to a man tomorrow that I was reaching out to, because he's like in the awakening journey. We think in the past it's been a lot about us, when we're starting the awakening journey, we pull out of life, we go to the cave or to the monastery or to like spaces that are more secluded, and then many people stay there and they don't come back to the village and offer their elixir or their gifts. And I do find it, like, I think in my mind I've been having this idea to really like be in integrity in this and that. I have to pull out of life, but I'm seeing now that no, it's the opposite. I have to go into life. I have to work with life. Life as the world, with the people and the businesses and this and that, and like, and share my heart. And that's going to be a bigger medicine, I think, than being in the forest by myself and doing ceremony and connecting to spirit. Like, this is
great.
Which is wonderful. And I think for a time being that is very needed, to really root into your own presence and root into your medicine. And I think I will have many times when I go into life and then move back into the forest. And and weaving those together. But I feel at some point it comes to this like alignment, merging the spacious with the form, and being able to have businesses and families and this and that, and yet be fully anchored into truth, fully anchored into source of being. But I do feel like it's a limiting belief in the spiritual world sometimes that you can't have it both. You had to choose life or life and family and businesses, or the mountain.
Yeah. I guess it also depends on. I know some people who just really need to be on their mountain because they just kind of lose their power when they go anywhere else. Like, I think that exists. I've learned, like, you're a bridger. I see those people as like bridgers. You're a bridger, so you're made to kind of go through. You're born in your family. You go through the matrix system. You like wake up from it all, and then you start helping. You aid others in your bridger, for people to come back to more of their truth, and just creating portals for that, right? At least that's something I really resonate with, and it doesn't have to be my way at all. How I hold my clients, I just hold space for them to erupt into, who they want to be, who they really are, right? And we really, that's really necessary to do that work. That's the groundwork, I think. And what I've noticed is, like, women I've worked with a lot in that space, and they come to a retreat, it flows so much easier, and it's just they're much more open. It's the groundwork, and it can really integrate.
Yeah, beautiful. It is definitely, I think the medicine nowadays is like all about helping others to find their unique truth, and that's going to look very different from ours and our path. Like, everyone has their unique journey of awakening. Like, it's not gonna look the same at all.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty, like finding everyone's unique expression and their way of sharing their heart, their voice. And I wanted to touch a little bit of on that, like your opening of your voice, because we both use our voices in our work, and channeling and light language or soul language, and that part I feel like is such a part of the feminine awakening as well, of
Yeah,
like,
actually, yeah.
yeah. How what has been your journey there with the
My
voice?
voice opening. It's been scary, but I'm doing it. I'm like, oh gosh. So, firstly, I just love how you speak about the, I think what ignites you is serving the collective, and that's really what turns you on.
Wait,
Right?
hold on. Can
The doggy agrees.
yeah, the dog is like,
Yeah.
using its voice. Or she's a girl dog. Hold on. Wait. Sorry, say that again, please, if you can, if you know what you
What really turns you on is serving the collective and a bigger picture. And I have that too. The other day someone asked me, like, what are you really proud of what you did? And I couldn't really think of anything. And I was like, what's wrong with me? Like, it's not that I'm not proud of things, but I just don't feel like pride. And I just feel like, oh, that's just because I'm just doing what I really love, and it's really, I put a lot into it, and I'm really devoted to it, and but it's just what I'm here to do.
Simple.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like boom. No.
I know this is exactly what I'm here to do. I know it's so in every cell of my body. I'm just doing I'm doing my work, and then that's it, really. That's all I want to do. So, and my work is to keep on opening, because, yes, I'm quite an express woman. But there's so many layers to me, and I really feel that the expression from our heart, from our womb, from our longings, like that real, and doing that not in a toxic way, but making like that a beautiful art. And I work a lot with that, right? How can you turn that into like art, and your longings, and that, and your pain, even that, or your sensuality, that wakes up the world. That's really such a huge part of the medicine. That energy is what moves people, those stories, those offerings, right? That's really what moves, that ignites people. So it's like, yeah, I've done a lot of work with that, but there's so much to open into, and that's really what this, this feminine, this dark feminine is doing. And with that, our men, or their masculine poles, needs to learn to hold more in their nervous system. So that's the whole thing we expand. They go oof, and then it's like hold more, and like, that's the beautiful dance of these two energies in the world, right? I just completely went off track, but I just like, it's really, it's important to me, this space. And so yeah, the expression is like, the expression is very important, and the creative expression, and the voice is the tool. And yes, in the sound we make and what we sing, but it's also in what we write, and how we communicate, and how we speak, what is truth for us, and that's why I thought I couldn't really sing. I didn't really have a voice, because it's one of those illusion things people tell you. Oh, I was always had an okay voice, but like, oh, you can only sing if you're like this amazing singer. And that blocks all of our voices, like all our throat, all these little stories, put these lines on our throat, basically. So song has really helped me so much to soften and to open up these layers. And I felt my voice opening layers. I'm like, is that my voice? Like little layers. I'm like, oh, like another layer open. And I'm like, wow, like that's my voice, like, and then and years, it's taken years, but I found that I actually have a singing voice, and it's actually and it's a bridge. It's the bridge from the divine to here, because when you sing medicine songs, your heart is completely open, and you are a channel,
Mm.
so music and song is so important. And then then it's like a year and a half ago, this was in a ceremony. I heard "You're ready now," and then I started to channel. That's when I
Mm.
started. And I felt like it was very hard. It was a lot of energy to hold. I was like shaking for days. It was a really
Mm.
hard experience, but um, I felt literally these pockets in my throat just open, and then the channeling started basically. So it's like it's a very powerful energy that comes through. It's a light language. It's a it's like very dark priestess kind of energy that comes through. It's very, I can hold it much better now. It was overwhelming before. And now I can channel it whenever I want, when I feel safe and when I feel there's a space for it. And so yeah, with the drum, it goes really deep. It's like quite tribal, and then with the bowls, it's a different sound.
Mm.
And as soon as it comes, I feel it's as if I've meditated for like half an hour. It's like this, I'm aligned instantly, and
Mm.
it's this beautiful companion of this multidimensional layer of me that comes through. I
Yeah.
never thought this would happen. This is completely like one of these things that you go, what is happening to me?
Mm.
But it felt so true and so benevolent. And so it just grounded and clicked another piece of me, you know.
Mm.
And I remember we did our first circle together, and you were playing the bowls. And I think I was laying my hands on someone because it was after breath work, right? And then
Mm.
we started to sing, and I just went, oh,
Mm.
I was like my cosmic sister. I was like, yes. I was like, wow, like, and
Mm.
it was like this. Oh, this is just wow, like this. That these spaces are opening up again, and I love what you just said, like how feminine that is. That these, because you cannot fathom these things. You can't hold them down. You can't understand them. They just are. And they're just so beautiful. There's so much medicine in them. You just have to give them space, and just not trying to understand it, but just be in awe of it, which is so feminine.
Mm.
And yeah, I think it resonates with you as well. It's like even just starting to sing that again and trust that is a huge blossoming, right? Like this,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So beautiful. I can really like feel when you're speaking. And like, yes, my inner being is like, and it feels almost like it's coming from the other side of the veil. Like it feels like it's so ancient. These codes
Mm,
that can come through, and like we can't really speak about it, but these frequencies that are um, almost like the creators of universe. Like you can go so deep into
mm,
these subtle nuances of energies that like the heart remembers, the heart knows, the mind might be like, oh, that sounded strange or something. And I love the I'm not so interested in these pretty voices. I actually love the raw, like also sometimes for me it feels like it comes uh from like back and from up and from down, but it's this
mm,
um and I'm like, what's gonna come now? I don't know. And I'm opening to this, and I'm like, oh, um,
mm,
thank you for giving me these new codes in my body. It's like activating parts in our bodies
mm,
that have forgotten that we are safe, that we are part of the cosmic fabric. And
mm.
um, yeah, it's yeah, I just feel like it's such a pure expressions of the deepest vibrations in the heart space or in the soul. Like that is connected to all kinds of dimensions and
Yeah,
structures. And
yeah, I feel that very much for sure. Like when, especially with the drum, I've been sitting like with my legs like open and a drum like right in front, and I drum, and it's literally as if this kind of it's this primal mother that comes through, and it's really strong. And afterwards, I'm like sweating, shaking. It's really powerful, you know.
Mm.
And to allow that too, not just the pretty singing of like, you know,
Yeah.
but it's called light language for a reason. I understand that now. Like I didn't know what it was when it came. Someone came to me, he's like, "Are you receiving the light language?" I was like, "I have no idea what's happening." You know, like it's the language of the light. It's the language of love, which is universal, and it has different accents and shades, and that's what's coming through. It's a language of sacred geometry, and we all understand it. You know, as you said, you listen with your body, and then it comes in. But I also feel like you know, because our soul lives in so many, you know, our soul lives in so many different timelines at the same time. It's like often it's part of our own soul that are basically coming through, and we have that's why we have a resonance with them. And often that can be like alien beings, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that's how a lot of these beings are coming through. It's not they're going to landing here with a ship. They may probably eventually, but that's how they can come through, because it's a frequency we can hold a lot better, and it's happening like all around. So many people and so many things about channeling are starting to come out. If you just open your eyes, it's just the last couple of years it's gone up so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And behind like that is pure consciousness, like essentially is pure consciousness in all these different expressions moving through, you know, the soul into the body,
Yeah.
into the world. Like I feel, I mean, I had that when I was in Egypt. Actually, I had this, you know, all the the deities and this and that, and the Hathors, and you know, the different
The
beings.
sound.
Yeah, but I understood. I mean, I had a few moments where I'm like, they're all part of me. They're all, it's no
Exactly.
higher, lower levels. They're all within me, and essentially it's all source. Like, but it can be super helpful to have these archetypes to connect and structure it a little bit. Otherwise, it can become a whole soup of, you know, like I'm super love non-duality, but I also love the shamanism and the ceremony work and this and that, and Dougie. um, and I think again, like I think we really, it's like that's the great balancing, the north and the east, form and the formless, the feminine, masculine. Like we're coming into the full harmony, like the full picture of wholeness, of unity. And I feel like yeah, I think before I've been like neglecting some of these ways because or forms, because I felt like it's not the ultimate truth, but it is. Like the truth is contained everywhere. So it doesn't matter which path you're on. If you're, you know, if you're on shamanism or like plant spirit medicine or Buddhism or the Norse, you know, work, or Celtic, or like it really truth is everywhere, and that's the beauty. And then it's like depending on who we are as who we these forms are, what sparks the heart, what ignites it, what feels beautiful, and yeah, taking us on a journey to the mystery, like really, because that can be such a bypass, you know, to be like everything is one, why do anything? Why hold ceremony? Why everything is perfect already, you know? So
Fair point. But yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, because we're here to experience ourselves, right, and to grow with that. But I love, because you're very unique in that you're really deep into non-dualism and you're really deep into the feminine, right? And I think my past has definitely been more tantric, which has been more like the feminine path, just feeling awe and being in that entire space. And I am now getting, I think that's a huge part of me, but I can definitely also just let go of all of that and just and not know anything and just being complete, in a more, I think a more non-dual space, and both have their medicine for sure, but one cannot go without the other. Not here, not on planet Earth.
No, it's interesting. I feel the opposite a little bit. Like
Yeah,
I'm coming out of the non-dual into the more like ceremony work or the healing work or the methods of, accessing spirit, because that's the creative force in me that wants to be in life and express and create beauty. And I feel like ceremonies the most amazing way to create beauty. Hold space for beauty. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
this is
I know.
the best thing ever. It really is. Oh gosh, it really is the best thing ever. Yeah. And what do you think is like the fear, maybe for yourself, or maybe for a lot of women in the world, from leaning into that kind of wild primal Kali priestess energy?
I Good question. I feel I think like the mess and the the creative energy and like what's going to be created out of that. Like,
Ooh,
yeah,
yeah.
because I feel like it's a lot of movement would happen and a lot of new structures would actually come out of
Yeah,
that.
yeah. That's a good one. Yeah. And maybe also not knowing that when you align with truth, you will find a way. You will, because you're carried in that space. That all the energies around you are with you, and when you're going, we feel we're in control, but in that space, we're just like pushing, and there's actually no flow. We don't have help by any, by the universe around us, basically, right? But it's this kind of mind control that keeps us in that space and comfort, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think for most of us that are in the mind kind of world, is like to go into the unknown and fully surrender to to universe's will through us and like be of service to that is so scary, because you have no idea where it's going to lead you. You can't plan like, oh, in 5 years I'm gonna have a house and kids, and or like in 10 years I'm gonna create a retreat space. Like you have no idea where spirit is gonna lead you in a way. And I think that deep like commitment and trust to the unknown is gonna be like it's not a walk for the faint-hearted. Like you have to be ready to,
Yeah.
in a way, lose everything and
Yes.
gain all, like gain spirit, like the full expression of spirit. And yeah, I feel like I'm dipping my toes in and I'm like, ooh. Yeah.
Yeah, but we're also still human, and we have our fears, and our inner child is afraid, and it's okay to, and some people, like, I can handle quite a lot of freedom, like that's just, I work well in that space, but there's others that really need more security, and that's fine. Like, everyone has, as long as you move, as long as you move, as long as you keep expanding into those space. And I have clients that I'm with for 2 years maybe, and then they'll like change a job, or like speak up more, and some are just after 1 month just like full blown just doing whatever, like, so, and that's all perfect. It's all perfect.
I love that about you, because I know you have the power to ignite that fearlessness in other women and really make them understand their power and their medicine, like and also the respect of like, you don't have to, like, it's whenever timing is right for you, that's when it's right, like really trusting, like you don't want to birth a child prematurely, like you want to let
Yeah,
it
for
be
sure.
there until it's really ripe, like the fruit from the tree. You want it to fall when it's ready, and to offer it the fruit when it's ready. And also seeing that when the timing, I mean, I'm sure you have a very good intuition also, like how much to push and how much to, like, you know, or like not push, I'm not saying you're pushing at all, but
No,
how much to ignite.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I have so much respect and compassion and just love for the people that I work with. They're so brave, they're going through all these layers. It's because I do transformational work, and sometimes I hold them very calmly. We just chat or I just play the sound bowls, but overall that's not the core of what I do. It's also really deep work, and they just and I'm just here to hold that space for them. And I think that's something that I would have really loved, someone who would have done that with me. And it's that's not like poor me, but like I was super alone on this journey in so many ways. And I knew there was so much magic and so much like just layers that I hadn't touched yet. I just knew that, but I was it was very lonely in a lot of ways, right? So to offer sisterhood and to offer these spaces and these communities and these retreats with so much care and like just portals, and they blossom, that's all you have to do. And I think I have an eye for seeing possibility, and I see them, I'm like, oh, like I saw my meat and I'm like, wow, I know, and you're just like, and they're just and they step in, they step in. And I keep, and that's how the community works. They keep coming back and like for years, and that's maybe what I want too in some way. Everyone is like, but that's the space. I really believe if you give someone just love and like encouragement and compassion and the space to grow, people grow. That's what people do.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
create.
Yeah. Yeah. A little bit of like water, sunlight, earth, like,
Yeah.
and yeah.
Yeah, basically, got to start with the core. That's why I don't, it's not that I meet someone and go like, hi, I'm going to speak light language to you with my drum. Some, yeah. And others you start with, just their childhood and certain patterns. And that's beautiful. We do that for 20 sessions,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm here to hold space. I'm not here to tell them to go quicker or whatever.
So beautiful. Do you think, like last questions kind of until we wrap, but do you think that you had to walk that journey alone, that's actually been really making you find your own medicine, that you
Yes.
couldn't lean on someone or having a mentor or because I feel like you really have that trust to self and to your own intuition, your own medicine, like you found your own path.
Yes, the answer is yes. I feel I've always had this belief in myself all the time. It's just I'll figure out a way. So I just and that's how I still am. I just throw myself into something and I figure out a way, and that's really how I've gone through my entire life, and that's how it's gone, and I've always had a strong intuition. I've always and that served me really well. So I always knew where to go, knew who to teach with, who to, I knew those things, and those were good intuition. And I had to go through all of that to now, and also the pain of all of those things, so I can teach about codependency or narcissism or disembodiment. So I can, because I can feel them.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to pick it up if you haven't been through it
Not really,
maybe
no.
as strongly as you're aware now, and how to actually come through it on the other side, like what is the
Yeah,
path out of the forest.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes. And you said that once before, because I was saying that I always have really rough ceremonies where I just like, sorry to say, but like eat shit, like really tough. And then it's just like you said, like, yeah, it's just like strong ego, like strong soul. That's just what you have to do. You have to like, just live through those things. And my shaman also, I said, how long is this going to take? How many sessions? She said, as long as it takes, Sarah. And just, I just at some point surrender. That's my path, and I'm
Mm,
totally cool with that. You know,
mm.
that
And
makes
then,
me serve better or stronger. It's okay.
right. Yeah, when you willingly say yes
Yeah.
to the layers, then it doesn't become overwhelming because the yes is there behind everything. Instead of being, pushed into something where you going to be a lot of resistance,
Yes.
not wanting to go there. But when you're like, okay, no, this is the journey, this is the work that I had to do,
Mm.
and no, regardless of how hard it's going to be, I'm committed,
Yes.
and I'm saying
Exactly.
yes to everything that arises on my path. That's a very empowering
Yes.
way to be in that. It's like that's part of the medicine. That yes.
And that's the priestess path. It's fully devoted, right?
Yeah.
And once you and just for any other who may see this, is like, um, once you step, it's not that scary, because it's you, it's truth, and you just have to like,
I
and
love
once you do
that.
it a couple of times, you're like, ooh, wow, like I've been closing off to all this magic. And like, even like sisterhood, like we need this power of sisterhood. I used to be like, sisterhood, and I'm like, it's the best thing ever. And to like, and to really just, it all sounds, a bit far away, but if you step, it's all you. And it's just so the best thing ever to say yes to yourself and to this path and to the path of self-realization. I think that's what we're here for.
Yeah. So beautiful. I love that. Yeah.
Otherwise we wouldn't have met and sit here. And
No.
I'm so grateful for you. And like, it's been really beautiful to speak to you in this space. Like, you hold such a beautiful space, and like a real seer and listener. That's really beautiful. So
Mm. Thank you. Likewise, Sarah. I got it so many times. I got goosebumps, and I could literally feel the somatic, like energetic shifts